Welcome back. Today it's the fuel injectors on the F350. First thing you're going to want to do is disconnect both batteries, because we got to do the fuel injectors. That's going to be fun. You take the top off. That's pretty simple. The valve cover, we're starting on this side because this side's the worst. And how I tested it was pretty easy. Took a thermal tester and just tested each port on the head, on the intake, or exhaust actually, I'm sorry. And whichever one's cooler than what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be like 180 something coming out there. But that's what led me to think there's something wrong. So it's not a science, rocket science, but hey, it works. So what you're gonna need to do, take off those bolts. You should have on the passenger side 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them, I think. Yeah, you got 10 of them. So we're doing the passenger side first. You need to disconnect those wiring harnesses right there before you take that off. Use a little screwdriver or something. Try not to break it because it's expensive. All right. Now that you got the valve cover off, what you're going to need to do is remove the lower bolts of the injector. I already have one out, and I'll show you what it is. Let me get the light down there. Okay. That's your injector. That's the upper bolt. You don't touch it. Oh, let me back up first. That silver thing has to come out first. It's a 8mm. It's right there. You pull that out first. It's an oil diverter, if you will, because the injector shoots oil up into here. It's a 2-in-1 thing. Oh, I got one there. There you go. It's right there. Pull that out. The next thing you're going to want to do is pull that bolt out there. It's an 8mm. No big deal. Or no, scratch that. The one I screwed up on. Let me back up. It's not at 8mm, so I lied to you. It's an Allen wrench. It's a number 5mm Allen wrench. Okay, so I lied. But the other one, I believe, because that's a 10mm there. Yeah, the other bolt's an 8mm. Once you get the bolt out, you're going to need a pry bar. I got a little bent up screwdriver. And you're going to want to push, after you get that bolt out right there, you're going to want to push the bracket on there. Since I already have one out, I'll show it to you. It's easier. The bracket is designed to move back and forth. In the position, it's this way. You'll be looking down on it like this. You're going to take your hand and push it that way. Then you're going to take said pry bar or said screwdriver. Make sure you move the gasket so you don't mess it up. And you're going to take it, stick it right there, and pull it with this hand and use your other hand. Well, I have the phone in my hand, so I can't. And pull it, and it's kind of jiggle, and it's going to come right out. And the cylinder's going to fill with a bunch of shit. It's all right. We'll drain it later, but that's what you're going to do. And that's how you pull the injectors out. It's pretty simple. You do that with all of them. While you're doing this, You should check the glow plugs too, but I'll get to that in a minute. But before you do any of this, check the valve cover gasket. Because I didn't, and it's burnt there, so that's part of my problem. But it's a good thing I did what I'm doing now, because I found one that was busted. And I'll take one apart and I'll show it to you. But I have one partially apart now, the one I broke. And this here, the spring was busted. And I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't have taken that one apart. Because the one was busted, one wasn't. That spring come out of that one. So I remembered how thick it was, and I got to looking and it didn't look right. And I ended up with two pieces. The other piece is on the ground somewhere because two pieces of this came out. So I lucked out breaking one. I actually was able to use it for that one. But when you're going to do this, make sure you are able to get a hold of these, just in case you break one. But cleaning them, and this is what you do as a tune-up, if you will. Checking all this versus just going out and buying them. And I'll show you how to test them too to see if they're any good. But I'm pulling one out and I'm gonna show you how to take it apart. So onward and forward. Alrighty, I have the injector out. I have a clean oil pan. Buy a new one if you need to, or if you got one. Clean it out real good with carburetor cleaner and what have you. Next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna put this injector in that vise. But it's very important how you do it. I gotta set this phone down just like this. It needs to go right here, like that. So what you're gonna do, I'm using little scrubby pads. They've been working pretty good. That way so you don't scar anything up. Put it like so. Set it in there and tighten away. But you want to do it where that lip is. You don't want to go above it, you don't want to go below it, because there's a gasket there. There's rubber seals, and you pop them, and then you got a big old problem that you're not gonna like. Alrighty, you can see, good deal. Next step is important. Because if you look right here, there's a aluminum plate right here. You got two of them. You got that one there, and then you got this one here. This is the important one. This is where you're going to want to put it. This has a bevel. You want the smooth end. They make a tool for it, but you got to take all that off, and hell with that. I'm just trying to clean it. Okay, you're going to take it like this. You're going to need a big adjustable wrench. And this is going to go just like so, on just like that. But the important part is you put it on like so, and it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey applies. But you're going to want your wife to do it, not you. Because if you're strong like I am, I'm not real strong, but I'm strong enough to still break things. You're going to hold it and just work with it. Just kind of, don't do it hard, just work. It'll slide a little, and just kind of work it like so until it comes loose. Don't hammer it. Don't blunt it with a blunt hammer or none of that, a dead blow. Just take your time and get it. It's very important that you do that. it's going to be under some pressure, not a lot. So you just unscrew it by hand, and remember it's machine screws. So it's got real fine thread on it. So you just got to take your time with it and unscrew it. And it's going to have a little bit of pressure on it, not a lot. But nothing's going to jump out at you like it's all crazy and everything. Just take your time with it. And you're going to have a bunch of moving parts here in a second. Check it. All right. Then you take a look at it, examine it. You got holes there. Remember those holes. You're going to need to know where they're at later. Set it in your bucket. Undo it, like so. And do not, I repeat, do not do anything stupid until you're over your bucket. And if you tap on that point right there, just kind of push down on it a little and let that spring come up in your hand. It loosens up that washer. So you're going to want the washer loose. Do not lose it. If it's not on here when you pull it, if it's not on this when you pull it, you're going to be playing a game of goldfish, or actually operation, trying to get it out of the head. So you push it again, and you just kind of jiggle it. Come on. There we go. All right. Now this is going to be kind of tricky, but I know how it goes together, so it's all right. I could have just dumped it in there and start over, but I want you to see how it comes out easy. Voila. That's what it looks like. And then you got that in there. You're gonna want to take the spray and clean it out and yada yada and make sure it's in your bowl. This is where it gets good. Because you see those two pins? Do not lose them pins. They're two different sizes. Do not lose them. You will hate life. That washer there, it's kind of like a washer. I know it's hard to see. Sorry about that. I was rudely interrupted, so I had to put it on airplane mode. Back to what I was saying. That goes on top of that, but I'll show you how it all goes back together. All these different pins and everything, do not lose them. They go into a specific spot. And what you're going to want to do is push, try to pull everything apart if you can. Most everything. That thing there, you can leave together. Don't mess with it. It's a pain in the ass to put back together. And it just came apart on me. God damn it. Oh, what the hell. You gotta know how it goes back together any damn way. Alright, I'll take it apart. Okay. There's a ball bearing there. A tiny little thing. And then on the other side of that plate, there's a magnet. And as you guessed, that little open spot right there, that's where the magnet goes. And you just put it back together just like it is. back in there. And if you look at this plate, you can see where the wear is, of how it went back. You just put it back just like that. See how it's wore like that? That's got to be facing down. And you've got to line it up as such. I dropped something. And you got to line it up as such to where you can put those two pins back in there. Because sometimes one's going to stay in there. Then you just put the other one back in. Because you really don't need to mess with that, because the odds of it being messed up is pretty slim. It's mostly going to be them springs. If anything mechanical in here. I'm trying to get it. And it goes back like such. Okay. You examine this, make sure it's okay, and if it doesn't look wore, then that's fine, most likely. This is the next piece. Don't lose those. They're two different sizes, but they're interchangeable within that, but they'll only fit that. That'll be the next piece. When I put it back together, I'll show you. And then you come over to this. This is the one I was telling you that goes on at the very end of that. Then you examine this and then you spray it, yada yada. Most time it's not that big of a deal. Now, what you're going to want to do with this one is, it's got a little needle in there. And as you can tell, it didn't really want to come out. So, there's probably something wrong. It's probably clogged or something. So, let me find a place to put the damn phone. Okay, we'll try this. Do a balancing act. Take the can of cleaner and stick it in there and watch for the injectors. See? And I'm getting wet too. And just go around it. And if they're all got something all the liquid spraying out of them, then all you gotta do is just clean the carbon off of there. And they should be good to go to put back together. And you spray everything else and just wipe it off and clean it. And I'll show you how to put it back together. That's a real pain in the ass. I gotta clean my hand because my phone's gonna stick. Alrighty, let me finish cleaning this and I'll put it back together. Okie dokes. Now we're ready to put this bad boy back together. Hope you were paying attention. Get a little light on the subject. Okay. This back out. All right. This is the very bottom piece, as you can tell. And this was the needle that I pulled out. That goes in like such. Push that in there. Goes in real easy. You shouldn't have to force it. All right, next thing is this little magnet. and it only goes on one way. See how it's kind of off to the side? It's forcing itself away. I just dropped it and got a bunch of metal on it. It's hard to do anything with damn gloves on, but I'm trying not to get my hands so damn greasy. Okay, the next thing you got is that piece right there that had the two little shafts in there. They're pretty long, but they won't go in there so far. So, over here, how do I do this? You gotta see how the holes are lined up on both of them, and then you just match them. And see, it matches like so. Next thing you got is that little shank right there and that spring. Doesn't matter which way it goes in as long as it's the correct length. That's the one out of the other one that was broke. And this is the one that's okay. As you can see, there's one link longer than the other one. So that's how I knew there was something wrong with it. So you're gonna take and balance. Take that and just slide that spring in like that. And take that dowel or shank or whatever you want to call it and slide it in there, and you're good on that end. Then comes the next fun part. That little thing I was messing with earlier, that's the next thing that goes together, but it's gonna be a little harder than that. So what I did was, what you've already put together, stick it upside down into the injector like that to hold it for you. Because this one you're gonna need to both hands to monkey with. All right, because remember, it's got the ball bearing and how it's put together like so. And you got that one like that. So then you got to make sure that side goes together with that side. Like so. It lines up fairly easy. There's only one way to put it back together. Then it slides in like that, and bam, you got that in. And as you can tell, it ain't as far as those pins go. Then you have this here, which you're going to mate this to the other piece we just had. And just like before, you see that, you match the pins to that. And I'm kind of, I don't know if I can do this. And might be able to see it. Let's see, it's gonna have a spring kinda. So you're gonna have to hold it like this. And if you look at that, and you look at that, you remember how you took it off? That's how it goes back into that. Goes back just like that. Yeah, I dropped it. It'll be all right. Clean it off. If you can't get it the way I was trying, you put it back in the injector. Put it like that. Damn it. And it goes back together like this. So you get the idea. But it's kind of hard to be able to video it for you and do it. So my suggestion is take one of them, take it apart, and kind of lay it there. So that way you know how to put the damn thing right together. So now you've got the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And this has got to go on at like operation. Push down and turn. And you keep pushing down and turn until it catches. Bitch ass. Now that you got it on, all you had to do is push it a little bit. You tighten it by hand. And you keep tightening it by hand until you can't tighten it no more. Once you get it by hand, you take and you put it back in the vise. Like you had it. And you make sure that you got it by hand tight as you can get it. And now, this is where your wife comes in, or girlfriend, or even kid. Because if not, you're gonna pop it. And it's real easy to pop, especially with all the torque on the wrench. I'm gonna make sure it ain't sliding there. If it doesn't slide, Give it about a quarter turn. And that's it. Don't do no more. Because if you're not careful, you'll make it too tight and then you'll pop that down at the end to where it doesn't work. You just want it snug. Right now, to test it, I got a little 10 amp, 12 volt kind of deal. These run off 12 volts, so you put the little alligator clip in there and you touch them like that. Make sure they're separate. You hear that? Then you know it's good. Next. That right there is your glow plug. It's a 10mm deep well. Oh shit, I didn't get it all the way. Keep unscrewing until it comes out. See it moving freely. You just reach down there and pull it out. Yeah.
You got that other black light in the flashlight?
Thought I left it over there. Take a look at it, make sure it looks all right.
Yes?
Yeah.
Check this, see if it's going through these shooters. That's what it's gonna do. At the end. That's why I said I was not cranking. It ain't getting no, if it ain't getting that signal to that. See if it goes between these two.
Yeah.
Did?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
But it didn't come through the main fluid.
They went through both of them.
It went through here?
Yeah.
Okay, to both of these?
Yeah, one to each.
So each one of them's got its own fluid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take and get you a little ohm tester. A little deeper. Touch one end to the other. Supposed to be able to. And nothing there.
black one should go be that pin that was burnt.
Yeah.
It's got continuity to it, so you have it clear, man.
Okay, that trick didn't work, so let's try this one. Little cheap little tester.
Talking to yourself again.
Yeah, might as well say that.
Alright.
According to this is supposed to work and this doesn't work. Might be a bad glow plug as well.
Well, it
And that's how you
probably
tested
is.
it.
It probably is, maybe, you know.
That one there, you're either gonna have to disconnect the motor mounts on that side and jack it up and go over that way, or move all that shit, whichever's easier for you. Okay, on the driver's side, there's gonna be a plate that looks like this. That's a 13 millimeter. You're gonna need to get. You can access them pretty easy. That 10 millimeter, you're gonna have to use a 1/4 inch drive for that. And then these other ones are fairly easy. To get it out though, you're gonna have to remove the intercooler tube right there, also known as the breather tube. And of course, you gotta remove the air box and all that garbage. If you gotta know that, then you don't need to be doing this. Then leave yourself, get all of them and leave yourself that bottom one right there. Or that one, whichever one's easier for you to get out to the last. Side note to this, make sure you got a couple of them. You get them at Harbor Freight for like $1. Because you need to separate your sides. That right there is the passenger side. This is going to be the driver's side. Alright, to remove this, you're going to need to undo that. And then these 2 screws right here that are on top of the valve cover, you're going to need to undo them in order to pull that intercooler tube off. I forgot because it's been a while since I've done this. So, it's pretty simple. Can you pull each screw out? Set them in your little tray. Grab the whole thing, like so. Make sure you get this gasket too, and just set it off to the side. Try not to get no garbage in there. Finish this video because I found one that was better done than mine to a point, but where that one lacks is where some of my screw up is. You put all of the injectors back in, but make sure you leave out the glow plugs on both sides. You'll understand here in a minute. But on top of that, make sure you take the glow plug wire that's right here, put it on the opposite side of the port where the glow plug goes. See, that's a glow plug port right there. This is the line you put on the opposite side, because what you're about to do is crank the motor over. I'm gonna show you how. You don't use the key, and it'll blow the oil and everything that's in these cylinders from where you pulled them out, blow it back up through here and reseal it. If not, you get a static lock, and that'll kind of suck. And I have the gasket on too. Just gotta make sure the gasket's there. And all I did on this side was I used 2 bolts. That one there, and there's another one right there. That's all I did. And I hooked that wire up because of the way it is. You can't get the damn thing there without it, but the other one ain't hooked up. Just make sure there ain't nowhere where anything can happen to it. And that's all you gotta do with that one. And when you wanna start this baby up, there's the solenoid. I'm gonna run from one to here and I'm gonna click it, but I'll show you. All right, I've already tested it. I'm not doing it again, but what you do, because the solenoid's right there, with the 350, you gotta have both batteries hooked up. So you gotta hook them both up. Touch it like this. Let me get around here. Like that, and hit it. But don't touch the frame, hit it like that. And when it starts turning over, count to 15. When you hit 15, stop. Now you can go back and put everything back together and start the motherfucker up and see if it runs. Now, I guess you call it a disclaimer, whatever you want to call it. If you do that, what I just showed you, and it blows your motor, it's not my fault, because you was a cheap ass and wouldn't pay nobody to do it. I'm the cheap ass, so if it blew up, it just blew up. But it didn't, so I'm gonna leave the video on how to replace them, because the guy did a better job than I did. So I'll leave that in the description. And there's some, I found a video somewhere that how to rebuild them. They're $193 for a remanufactured one. At O'Reilly's is where I got these, got the one. So, if it's worth your time and headache to rebuild it, knock yourself out. If it ain't, then there you go. Now put the gold plugs back in.